Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Words for Life. My name is Steven, and I'll be your host today. This is the podcast where we look for inspiration and motivation through quotes, ideas, phrases, and people. Today is more of an idea rather than a quote or a phrase, and the idea is people are responsible for their own happiness. I know in my own life, I have tried to sometimes go out of my way to make other people happy, thinking that it's my job or my responsibility to make them happy. I would go and buy them things. I would go and do things for them, expecting that my actions are actually the things that are making them happy or not. Children withstanding, they're a little bit different, but thinking more, you know, young adults, and so on. But as I worked through trying to make those around me happy, there's a few things that I ran into. One, I found that I couldn't make everybody happy. There was always going to be probably two sides to every coin, as they say. And I might do something for one person that maybe upset another person. Or I might do something that was beneficial for myself that was making another person unhappy. The other part that I realized is that their happiness was not something that I controlled. When in fact, their happiness was actually the result of their own reflections of the actions that I took and their own decisions on how to perceive the situation. So, as I started to learn these two ideas, I won't say facts because I can't prove one way or another because I can't read somebody's mind. But as I went through and understood these two ideas better, the biggest one was that I didn't have control over someone else's happiness. They were the ones that had control over their own happiness. When I came to this realization, it was kind of an amazing thought. It changed a lot of what I attempted to do when I interacted with people. I spent more time focusing on what would make me happy and what would make the situation better, not necessarily how it would make another person or a group of people happy, but what I thought might be the best outcome for a given situation. As I started doing this more and more, I found that some people left the circle of my relationship and other people started to join it as the actions that I was taking to better myself or better a situation were actually drawing them in rather than trying to please or make everyone around me happy at once. There are going to be people that enter and leave our lives as we go through and develop ourselves further and have a better understanding of the world and ourselves. Luckily, I'm realizing this as I move through life, and I'm hopefully these podcasts and these episodes are helping you realize that as well. So, as I went through and started to understand that second concept more, that it really was up to everyone else to make themselves happy, I also turned this reflection to myself. It is my responsibility to make me happy. It is not someone else's, which again really changed my perspective. I no longer try to rely on others for my happiness. I more directed my actions and my behaviors and the way I perceive the world to make myself happy. I would take situations that maybe were dire or unhappy and change my perspective or my mindset or my attitude to give myself a more positive feeling and try and change something to an advantage for myself or either physically, situationally, or mentally or emotionally to where I wouldn't be brought down by negative thoughts or feelings. So again, I worked to create my own happiness. And it goes for everyone else as well. They are responsible for their own happiness. It is not yours or my responsibility, it is theirs. Just like your happiness is your own responsibility. So, hopefully, this isn't too much of a revelation for people. It was a little bit for me. I've spent a lot of my time trying to people please, which was a big deal for me when I made this discovery in my life. And I want to share it with others. My challenge to you this week is to evaluate how often you might be trying to make others happy. Determine whether you're doing it because it's making you happy. Maybe it's a mix. You're making someone else happy as well as making yourself happy. As you go through and look at the various situations, use your journal to document them. Take note of when you are making others or you're attempting to make others happy, thinking that it's to their benefit or is what they want or something along those lines. Write those down and see if in your mind you can switch it around and be like, okay, this was my attempt to make someone else happy. What would have made me happy? And again, we don't want to be too selfish in this. And this might even be perceived as, oh, that's being selfish. You're only thinking about yourself. Well, no one else is going to think about us for us. We have to do it ourselves, and we need to take care of ourselves, and we need to ensure our own happiness. Now, we do want to be cognizant of if our happiness is causing detriment to other people, either financially, emotionally, physically, or mentally. Those are considerations we should take into consideration because there are people in this world who are more than just selfish and they might go too far and make their happiness actually to the detriment of others. Hopefully, that's not the case with the people listening to this podcast, but take those into consideration as you look into what makes you happy and control your sphere of happiness. So that is my challenge to you this week is identify the areas in your life where you're trying to focus on making other people happy when in fact they are the ones that control their level of happiness. So remember, people are responsible for their own happiness. It is not in yours or my control. We only have control over our own happiness. Obviously, children withstanding. So please take that into consideration as you move forward in life and work with those or interact with those around you and do your best to focus on making yourself happy. And others who are in a similar boat will start gravitating towards you, and your circle of friends and relationships will increase with those who are of a similar mindset. If you have any situations where you have made this revelation yourself and how you have changed your life in a way to make yourself happy more than others, I'd love to hear about them. Please reach out to me at attitudealtitudeacceptance@gmail.com. And if you're willing, I'd like to share that story with others. Also, if you're unsure about what is your happiness sphere and how to work on that, also reach out to me on my coaching website. I'm more than happy to sit down and see if there's ways we can work towards goals or values that you have trouble identifying or that you want to go and pursue further. Please reach out to me and I will get back to you to set up a consultation and we'll figure out if working together is going to better your sphere of happiness. I want to thank you all for joining me on this episode of Words for Life. Please join me on the next one. Thank you and have a great day.